never forget when we said goodbye to Leo at the Hanoi airport. It was an emotional time for me and my family. G'day, I'm Rob Smith, a retired professional photographer from Australia. In 2008, I took my family on a holiday to Cambodia and Vietnam. When we arrived at the Hanoi International Airport, there to greet us was a very young Vietnamese guide by the name of Cao Van Hiep, but he introduced himself as Leo. Over the next 5 days, Leo showed us around some of the sights of North Vietnam. And I'll never forget when it came to say goodbye to Leo at the Hanoi airport. Over those 5 days, Leo had really endeared himself to our family with his knowledge, his friendliness, his passion for his work and his pride in his country. And it was with a heavy heart and a lump in my throat that I said goodbye to Leo, and the rest of my family felt the same way. Years passed and Leo and I kept in touch with an occasional email. I was always interested to see how he was going, and I felt in my heart that one day he should run his own travel business. Such is his enthusiasm for his work. In later years, we caught up via social media, and I learnt that Leo created his own travel company in April of 2018. In the years leading up to the establishment of his own travel business, Leo served his apprenticeship by working for some big names in the international travel industry. In 2016, he was awarded Guide of the Year in Vietnam by Kuoni of the UK. He was awarded Top Guide in Vietnam when employed by Abercrombie & Kent from the USA. The UK travel agent Great Rail Journeys has awarded Leo Preferred Guide status. Leo has also worked for Cox & Kings. Knowing that Leo is one of the most popular guides in the travel industry, I floated an idea with him in 2019. It was an idea that I'd been thinking about for some time, and it stemmed out of a desire to help my friend go from strength to strength in his business. We were chatting on social media one day and I said, "Leo, have you ever thought about going into the travel photography side of the industry?" I said, "You know travel better than anyone, and I know photography. And I would be so happy to help you by acting as a mentor and photography guide for your clients for a few trips to get you started." Well, we can't say the rest is history because it hasn't happened yet. But in his usual enthusiastic style, Leo has taken that idea and run with it. And for the last 6 months, we've been working at designing an itinerary and a program that will appeal to photographers who want to go to the next level.
I work from my passion. Each trip is the most important target. Travel is my life, and I will not choose any job except travel. All the traveler is my VIP client. Doesn't matter who you are Mr. President, or you are Mr. Well digger, or you are any worker. I will treat you the same. You are all welcome to join at Carol's holiday. Thank you.
I hope that what I've said so far establishes Leo's credentials as a tour guide of repute. But who's Rob Smith? Why would you want to go on a creative photography and heritage tour of Vietnam with Rob Smith as a photographic guide and mentor? It's a fair question. I have more than 45 years experience with a camera, first as an amateur, then as a freelancer for magazines, and for the last 10 years of my working life, I was employed as a corporate photographer and video producer. I've judged photography at local, national and international levels, and I've delivered many presentations and workshops on photography and the art of visual communication at conferences, conventions and clubs. In other lives, I obtained a science degree in zoology and had a 25-year career in information technology, including a lot of work in graphic design. These things have informed my photography practice and given me the confidence and knowledge to understand not only the science of photography, but the artistic aspects. People do say that I'm a good teacher. I have a wonderful teacher, mentor and friend. In 2009, over a period of months, I attended a course led by Western Sydney University's Emeritus Professor Des Crawley. The course was about creative photography, evaluation of the image and judging photography. My mentor Des liberated me from the artificial boundaries of things like the rule of thirds and showed me that the way to become a more creative photographer is not to spend my time trying to create images to please others, to follow popular trends, or to be a slave to so-called rules. Des encouraged me to invest in my own creative capital, to make images that express the way I feel about the world that I experience, because my view of the world is unique, just as your view of the world is unique. No one else in the world sees it through your eyes, through the lens of your background, your life experiences, your upbringing and your values. Play to your strengths, work on your weaknesses and emerge as a more complete and fulfilled photographer. It's not a hard recipe to follow. During our tour of Vietnam, I will share what I have learned about the practice of photography as an art form. This isn't a tour for beginners. The ideal client is a person who is familiar with the basics of photography and their camera's controls and has been practicing photography for at least a year. The ideal client will have reached a point of being reasonably competent in documenting their experiences with a camera, but perhaps feeling a little dissatisfied that their images are not connecting with others as anything more than simple records of people and places. I like to say that a beautiful photograph of an ordinary thing is better than an ordinary photograph of a beautiful thing. The former can tell the viewer something about the photographer. The former can reveal something of the photographer's soul. The latter can be as simple as a record of something beautiful that the photographer saw, that anyone could see. Of course, we'll be out and about exploring new horizons and thinking about how to make photographs that connect with others. But the tour is not just about the places. During travel time in coaches and on some evenings, I'll conduct Q&A sessions so that you can continue an immersive experience by talking about and putting into practice various techniques and behaviours to support an artistic approach to photography. On some evenings, we will review images made by clients during the previous day, and I'll introduce the group to the ease and power of cataloguing and processing images with Adobe Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop, the workhorse processing tools of the digital photographer. Over a cup of coffee or a meal, or while we're travelling somewhere in a coach, pick my brains. Do you have questions about creating audio-visual portfolios of your work, or incorporating video into your photographic process? Do you want to try long exposure photography at night? Do you want to explore the use of motion blur for creative effect? Does the idea of combining photography and your own poetry appeal to you? I'll share my thoughts. Do you have questions about putting together a photo book? Do you need some tips about Lightroom or Photoshop? Are you unsure about how to get the most out of the equipment in your hands? That's a tricky one. Please bring your manual, but be prepared to have a go at reading and understanding it. I can provide some guidance, but I cannot read and absorb the manuals for every client's camera. We'll run some evaluation sessions with a computer and digital projector where tour members can talk about what they were trying to achieve with a particular image, and the group can offer constructive feedback and demonstrations of alternative approaches. The fundamental goal of the tour is that each person will come away from it feeling that they have taken some important steps in their journey in photography and have benefited from being challenged to see the world around them in new ways, to find images that they would previously have walked past. You don't have to go on a tour to exotic places to make compelling photographs. Compelling photographs can be found anywhere if you have the eyes to see them. Yes, going on a tour to a new place like Vietnam is exciting in itself, and it can be the catalyst that gets us thinking about our photography in new ways. However, for me, the most important goal of the Creative Photography and Heritage Tour of Vietnam is that each person will return to their home excited at the prospect of seeing familiar places in new ways. You can do it.